This is amazing.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, welcome to the Roots of Pacha session at Archeo Gaming Archeo Gaming. So welcome to this very special showcase to one of my favorite new games out there. Right now, my name is Anna. I go by Short Round online, and currently I am joined by my co-host Heather, who goes by Archeo Plays, and our wonderful guests Timo and Joni, who are the creators and game developers of a delightful farm and life simulation game called Roots of Pacha. So first, I want to thank you guys so much for being so kind and enthusiastic and just crazy cool regarding this interview. If you guys could just introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your game before we dive into some gameplay and questions, that would be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. It's really nice
Yeah, thank you.
to be here. It's really nice to get involved with the community. And well, we've known that you've been in our Discord server. That's how we met.
Yeah.
And it's really great to see people excited about the game, and also like archaeology. It's super fitting. We're actually we want to get some insights from today. Probably it's great to be talking to you as well. So I'm Timo, and my brother
I'm
Johnny.
Johnny.
We're developing Roots of Pacha, and yeah, it's a farming simulator set in the Stone Age, and you help your clan develop the ideas that shape humanity. Yep, that's the intro for us. We're a team of about 10 now.
Wow.
We
Okay.
started just the two of us and an artist, and then we had a Kickstarter that enabled us to grow our team larger and make the scope of the game larger as well. And we'll be playing today. The version that we're going to be playing, it's the beta. We're still developing the game, but getting closer to that release line. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we'll have some more news about that soon.
Soon, yes.
That's
Yeah.
so exciting. That's so very exciting. All right. Should we dive into questions now?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. May as
Great.
well.
So yeah, you guys feel free to run around. I'll just poke through the questions here, and Heather, you can do the same too whenever you have an opportunity. But
Sure.
where did
Do my
where did the
best.
initial inspiration come from to make Roots of Pacha in the first place? You mentioned the book The Clan of the Cave Bear by Jean Owl on your Kickstarter. I saw a while back, but were there any other inspirations that were drawn from for the idea of this wonderful game of yours?
So yeah, my favorite book is that one, Clan of the Caver. It's actually a whole series. It has 5 books now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I fell in love with those books as a teenager. Grew up reading them and rereading them. And Johnny and I always worked together. And we always wanted to make a game, so we decided to quit our jobs and make our own game. And we always loved farming sims in general. So we
Yeah.
remember
Played
playing
Harvest
Harvest Moon
Yeah.
Mhm.
a lot, and then like none of them were multiplayer, so we just shared the controllers. But later we played Stardew Valley, which like took the genre to another level.
Yeah.
And then that became multiplayer. So like we said, like we think that we love these games. We have this idea of making it like about like the Stone Age or about like humanity, the early beginnings of humanity. We kind of mix both things together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
in general, I
another-
think we loved other genres as well.
Yeah, and we played a lot of like historical games, like Civilization series.
Ooh,
Or
yeah.
Yeah,
did you play, for
Pharaoh.
example, Humankind? Did you play it? It's like an amazing. I really like it. Like
I
really
played
like
it back when they had the beta test.
Oh,
and
yeah?
it was it's basically it's like Civ but different, and it's very
Yeah.
very good. I haven't played the
I
full
do-
release though.
I really like the cultural thing. I mean,
Hmm.
it is a little bit weird because you go like from you are like evolving in weird and historical ways, but and at the same time, it's like you are learning a lot. And what I like about those games is that they spark you the curiosity.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be accurate. It needs like to be something that let you or make you go outside the game and like learn more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of the questions I ended up with because I'm working on a I'm trying to ask this question while hand fishing, which is interesting. But
Hey, that's what I'm doing.
I'm currently working on a tabletop role-playing game that's like a campaign setting guide. And one of the things that we have found is that it can be very difficult to figure out because archaeology has a lot of gaps, and there are lots of things that we don't know. In archaeology, we can just leave the gaps there until we figure out the answer. But in storytelling, you can't just have big gaping holes. So I was curious how you all kind of mitigated the gaps in archaeological knowledge. And if there were, if you had ways of doing that, if it was kind of a process that you learned over as you were developing the game, or what that kind of looked like.
So yeah, you're right. Like, in the game, everything has to like make sense, right? To some point, because we do try to give an explanation for everything that's happening in the game, but at sometimes it's nice and it's good to leave some things intentionally like up to the imagination of the players, like like you give a hint of how you imagine it, but like not entirely.
Open-ended, up to interpretation.
So I need to balance too, because like even if I think that even in games that are trying to be historically correct, they're still trying to be games. So like you still have to try to balance if that historically correctness thing is
fun, basically.
It's fun,
I'm pretty sure that you can always come up with a way to make it fun, but at the risk of like maybe it's not so accurate anymore, right?
Or maybe overcomplicating it. That's something that can also happen.
Yes, I think that's, it actually is something that I think is exemplified by the Clan of the Cave Bear. Mostly the following books is that there can be like a span of 20 pages that is just about Paleolithic grass in Europe. And it's like a 20-page essay. And it does nothing to further the story, but you can tell that she's done all the research, and so she wants to put it in the book. And I say that again as also somebody who does is doing that for the tabletop role-playing game as well, of having to kind of look at the archaeology and say, oh right, okay, we actually don't we don't necessarily want to put all of these tiny little details in, because that's getting too bogged down in the details and not really thinking about the story and what's interesting.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I
think
think that it depends also like in what format. Like I remember playing Pharaoh back then, which now it's launching a remake of the game. Hopefully this year. And while you could play the game like normally and just not care about what the game was like trying to tell you, they also had like these hints and pop-ups that you could like open and read and find more about. So we actually thought about including some of that in our game, but then we tried it and it was like a little bit like not the direction that we wanted to take. Like it's more like what Joni said, like sparking more the imagination. And then if players are interested, like, oh, what is actually hand axe? Like what is that? Is that a real thing? Is it not a real thing? If they want, like, now we all have the power of the internet, so that's good. And then you can find more information about that.
That's the thing, Timo, because every piece of creation we human create has a purpose. So accuracy is not, or at least it's not our intention to be accurate in a game, because our main intention is you to feel something that you can't otherwise. We are trying to give you the feeling of living in an ancient area. That cannot be done with a textbook or some article in the internet. So what's the purpose of your creation? That's the thing that should drive your like the creativity, and also help you fill those gaps. That's my that's my point of view. Someone could say, yeah, I want to create a super accurate game simulator of the ancient eras or Stone Age, and that's fair too. But if that's the intention, then you need to fill those gaps somehow. Without science, because they are not filled. They are not accurate either. But
yeah, absolutely. I think it's really interesting to hear you say that, because with a talk I'm giving later today, actually, I'm making the exact same argument and same points. So it's really nice to hear those being made already. It's great. And I think it's very much, I know to everybody in chat, it looks like I'm wandering around aimlessly, but the savannah, you do kind of wander around semi-aimlessly. Just as an FYI. I'm trying to find the mammoths. Hang on, wait, I know where the mammoths are. Where are the mammoths? Those are the bison.
We
where
should
are the mammoths?
try to tame animals.
Oh, yes.
That should be our goal.
Yes. We can do
that. Show off.
We don't have a flute. We have to go make one.
Oh, you guys don't have flutes.
Timo and I.
Right, because we just joined, so we have to go make one.
I'm gonna make one.
Mine is also gone.
I've been trying to tame one of these baby mammoths because they're adorable, and I would like one to live on my farm. Hey, it's this one. Cool. Okay. Where is? Let me just talk to you. Oh, but I can't. Am I already? Oh no. Is that you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I already gave him.
You already gave it
tomato.
something to eat. Okay.
Yeah, but you can play the flute. Yeah.
Oh, you can still play the flute. Okay, all right.
Yeah, you can still play the flute.
I will do that then.
There you go.
I'm trying to get over to you guys.
There might have been
some contribution.
Might have been too many mammoths. Does one of you want to? Come on. Here, let's try one of the big ones.
Oh my god.
Not that I don't have a barn for a mammoth right now, so, and even once I do, are you not? Come here. No.
I haven't been here myself before. Oh my god, bison! Ah!
Or can you, yeah, the bison are cool. They're bison.
Oh my god!
Let me just see, can you, okay, would like some music. There we go, yes. Play some music. So this is the mini game where you try to tame animals. The goal is to get the circle in the light green. And I'm doing this with people watching, so either I'm going to be fantastic or I'm going to be terrible. But apparently I'm fantastic. So
hey, there you go.
So that's good. But yeah,
I'm going to tame a guanaco because guanacos are awesome.
Yeah, they're great. Hang on, wait a minute.
Here,
Let's go see them. Where are they? They are just down, I think, over that way. The thing about the savannah is that I get lost. So the nice thing is that there's a map for the savannah, but you don't. And this is something that I really like, actually. You don't know where things are on the map until you've actually found them yourself. So until you play a flute for one of the animals, you don't know where the guanaco are, for example. And they won't turn up on your map. So you have to find things yourself. One of the things that that's not ready to harvest. One of the things that we mentioned, or that I know was in our questions, is that you both are from Latin America, and there's a lot of emphasis on crops and wild foods from that part of the world, which is very unusual in a farming sim. A lot of the time they emphasize, say, Japanese crops or more Western European crops, really. And so I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about creating a farming sim that not only is set in the Stone Age, but that also uses some different animals and crops and things to what typical farming sims do. Was that a relatively easy process to figure out what to do, or were there hiccups or anything?
Yeah. So it was a process. we started out, and like you said, we were from Argentina, so and we noticed the same thing as you. It's like, I mean, playing Harvest Moon, we were playing Stardew Valley, and they're great, and they're great because we actually found the crops that we didn't know about, so they were great in that respect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're missing some of the ones that we were kind of like more familiar with. So at the beginning, we said like we were gonna give it more a South American look.
Yeah.
And it started like that, but then we said like, we don't want to focus on any particular culture either, because even though we are from Argentina, we don't have any Native American roots, and even though we were exposed to that, it's not our story to tell, and it's not the story that we wanted to tell either. It's always been about like this feeling of humans trying to overcome issues and come up with ideas that maybe didn't have any issues, just because we can come up with ideas and form create tools, form culture. So we did keep elements from South America, like crops, animals, but as much as we did from other places. So you'll encounter wheat, which is European and has wasn't in the Americas before that, but we'll have potatoes. And again, we're not trying to educate people necessarily, but like if I was playing this game and if I knew a little bit about that, then I would be intrigued. It's like, is this crop from here or from there? Like we are kind of trying, like we have these different regions where we have the savanna, we have a forest, we have a jungle.
Yes.
We have like a Mediterranean place, which is where we're settled. So trying to like align crops which more like the region where they're grown, not so much like in the actual world. Like why did potatoes grow up in the Andes? Like because they're adapted to mountains and things like that, and not really because they're South American, right? So we kind of went that direction of like trying to highlight things about the world itself, not cultures themselves.
Generating that interest, that curiosity in things that people don't know about already. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it is. I've got another question here, one that I really like, and that is, Roots of Pacha is a farming sim where the protagonist wasn't born in the community they now live in, but are very much a part of it, like in Clan of the Cave Bear. In most farming sim games, the player is an outsider from a big city who may or may not be related to the person who last owned the farm that they're kind of moving into and inheriting. This creates a bit of an odd dynamic where you as an outsider enter a community and immediately start farming and improving on things for everyone in the town that you're new to, which promotes a bit of like a savior story. So what made you decide to swap out that narrative of a savior and more of somebody who's contributing to a community that they just joined? Did that change how you approached the story and gameplay?
Joni?
Yeah.
Sorry. No, because I feel like if not, like I start talking and I never stop.
Yeah. Basically, I personally, I am a fan of us as humans and how together we can like build and create things. So when we started designing the game, we didn't want a main hero because I think that we are better together. Like we create better together. So it felt off, so that our main characters were that important. Like, you're an outsider, and now you're making everything. And so we started designing that with that in mind, with the sense of community. We are designing everything around Roots of Pacha, even our social media, our Discord server, the game itself. Everything is around community because well, again, I think Timo is with me in this one. I really like that from us humans. Like, I really like that aspect of us. So for example, in multiplayer, we just join your session and you are the host, but you are not more important than us. We can build our houses. We all start in Igor's house without a house. that was designed by like that. So there's no player house. The host doesn't own a house from the beginning.
Yeah.
That was designed by like that because we wanted to be like the multiplayer experiences. We are all the same. We are part of this community, and we are all important, even the NPCs. That's why we also like put ideas and the tech tree system on NPCs rather than have a tech tree that you can unlock just because. So yeah, like answering your question about if that changed things and about the game, yes, obviously we are designing with that in mind, with us being a community and not only a player.
Yeah, I mean, you're still the main player. You're still driving all these things. It's just we try to incorporate as much like the feeling of the community, right? So putting the ideas around NPCs, it's like it makes you have to go talk to them, and they tell you stories about them, and you help them progress. They did not come up from you, right? But at the same time, keeping this like it is a game and it's not a like a village simulator. So you still have your own character. You play in first person, so it's as important that you feel that you are driving things as well. For the game
it's a balance,
itself, right?
Again. Yeah.
So that was kind of like more balanced with the multiplayer aspect. It's like but you not the host is the main character of the story. It's at least all of them if you're playing multiplayer, right?
And also because we love to play together, like with Timo, and we love to play like in main campaign multiplayer games. That makes us.
It's always a bummer when we find out like, oh, this game's great, and it's like it has just a co-op campaign, but it's not the main campaign, and it's so limited.
Or you have to join the other session, but you are not part of it. You're like it's session based. So
Yeah, it took a while for Stardew to get multiplayer. That was something that people wanted for a really long time.
It is definitely not easy to implement. That I'll say it, and I know. I mean, that's the reason why many games are not multiplayer, and it's understandable. Like budgets, games have budgets, and it's honestly not the main market either. Like we'll know our game will be played single player mainly, with multiplayer being probably second, but that's why it's also a balance of like making the game important, like you feel important in single player and in multiplayer. So it's not easy. It's everything that we design, we have to think. It's like okay, but how is this gonna work in multiplayer? Like a player receives an item, do all of them receive it? Do some of them receive it? Do the others have to work the same thing that the other did, or do they all get it at the same time? So it's a balance.
Yeah, but I mean, like, props to you guys for putting in multiplayer like so early on and not after launch, you know. But also, like, you know, talking about the community aspect of this game and how you start out, you know, in somebody else's home. There's like this feeling of gratefulness too, kind of like how in Clan of the Cave Bear, Ayla is taken in by Isa and her brother Brun, and so it kind of seemed like Myrene Egorot taking in the protagonist of you know who you play in this story. So there's that gratefulness there, and even when you move to your own house later, you remember who took you in at the start, and I really like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that even subconsciously we incorporate things from Clan of the Cave Bear, like in our own way, right? It's like we have to make them fit in our, like, it's definitely not set at the same age. Like we don't even have a defined age in the game. But like those elements, those things, it's the feeling of that, like we were saying, like being like she was welcomed by some of the people, right, in the book. So it's you'll find more things like that, like you can relate from
parallels. And then, like a second ago, you guys mentioned, you know, the Discord community and how that, like, you know, the community aspect on there too. And so I wanted to bring up that Discord community because that's how we all met, and that's how me and Heather met too. And which is kind of funny because I knew about you guys as the developers of this game and Heather from Heather's YouTube channel before joining the server, and that I could meet all of you guys through that server was very cool to me. But you guys have a wonderful and supportive community on there, and everyone seems so eager to learn new things and share knowledge. I mean, you've got channels dedicated to that kind of stuff, sharing art, sharing knowledge about history and things like that, or cooking, as if inspired by Roots of Pacha itself. And you also hold contests and community events on there every now and then, with one of the bigger ones being the Pachan cooking contest, where members of your community could share home-cooked meals and traditional recipes for a chance to have some of them featured in the game. Do you plan on holding more events like this in the future? And how much has the community influenced and shaped your game since starting that Discord server?
A lot. Yeah.
Short answer, a lot.
Short answer, a lot. No, we were actually super afraid of like launching Discord server. Like we launched it super early too, and it's a balance like with everything, where we put ourselves there from the beginning, and some of the things in the game weren't even shaped. But it turned out to be great because by showing things and even not showing things, just reading the suggestions, and people like just finding out weirdly on the things that we were working on, and sometimes like they just matched exactly the timing of the suggestions. Like, wow, are they like, do we have like some kind of malware or something in our PCs? Like they were exactly talking about what we were developing at that point, and we hadn't shown anything. So it actually turned out to be great, like a great tool for us to draw ideas from, to hear what they wanted, like what players want to see in this game, what they like about other games, what they don't like about other games, and it's always been about community. And I think like the Kickstarter was the same, and that's when we launched that cooking contest, and we thought it was a great idea. Like, we're gonna have cooking in the game, so why not involve the community and see what plates they like and they can make around the world, and what like food is so important to everyone and every culture. And it's like how we can represent some of it, like again, not to be so biased on our own views, like, right, we're like, again, from South America, with heritage from like Europe too, so like in Argentina we eat a lot of pasta and meat and like potatoes and those things. So like if I had to come up with every single plate's gonna have that, right? So why not see some other things besides the things that I like. So that was a great way to incorporate that. As far as having more contests in the future, they do take a bunch of time. And we try to align it with like major milestones. So like with the demo, we created this festival around it too. That's when we plan those kind of things. But like suggestions and questions and everything the community is saying and sharing in the channels in the Discord server, we're always reading. Even if we don't comment, we can't comment on everything, and we don't want to comment on everything because like we don't want to like make someone feel more important than the others because we answered something and like they thinking that we're going to incorporate that and not the other thing. So like we want everyone to share and feel free to share.
It's a really cool and very, very impressive Discord server. I've joined several for new games coming out, especially farming sims, because I love my farming sims. But the community aspect is not as just impressive as the one for Roots of Pacha for your guys' server. And that the cooking contest, I really wanted to contribute to that and share some Filipino dishes, but I could not get any good pictures of the Filipino foods that I had. So I was like, shoot, that doesn't look very appetizing. So I'm not gonna do it.
I mean, we consider every entry anyway. It's like some pictures weren't that good, but we still like, again, like I love food too, and I love cooking as well. So like I research every recipe and like, what is that? Like that sounds interesting. It's like so you can still share it in the Discord server. We're still working with some recipes, so
Maybe I might do that. But
Yeah.
like, like with these kinds of games, there's all kinds of different foods you can cook in them, and things like Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon, Sunhaven, all these kinds of games out there. And it's cool that you guys are like not like assuming what kinds of foods your fans want in your game. You're like reaching out and asking them about what kinds of foods they want represented. And I really like that. I really like how much you guys ask your fans and in your community what they want in the game.
Thank you. Yeah, we try.
Thank you.
Heather, do you want to? Sorry, I don't want to like jump in and like tell you what we should talk about or anything.
No.
But I thought about. You remember we were talking about the marketplace or the market economy in this game?
Yes.
Do you want to kind of talk about that?
So I can do that because I've been kind of putting stuff in there all in game day. So it's a lot of farming sim games have some kind of market economy where you have currency and then you sell things to get gold or whatever, and then you use the gold to buy things for your farm. But here you guys don't have a system like that. Instead, you have what's called contribution. So there's this big pot in the middle of the town and, big basket thing in the middle of town, and when you get goods you can put them in the basket and they're worth a certain amount of contribution points, basically. So like this datura flour is 10 contribution points, but then each of these roasted vegetable dishes that people in the chat saw me cooking earlier, they're each worth 78 contribution points. So that ends up being quite a bit of contribution, and the way that you use contribution is by completing ideas. So let me see if I can find like Vuak or somebody. Is Vuak? There's Vuak. He's literally right here. Hang on. Come back. Hello. So if I go to Vuak and I say discuss idea, he has a vision that we need to cross the river. He thinks we'll need materials from far away to make it work. And also the art style that you see for the ideas, that's kind of cave painting-esque art style, that's in all of the tutorials as well. It's actually a really nice touch to all of this. And then you can see that he has certain materials he needs, and then it takes those materials plus 250 contribution points in order for the idea to happen. So you're never really buying anything per se. It's more that you are helping this person, exist while they work on this idea, basically. And that's what your contribution points are. So I was curious, in terms of a question, I was curious about how you guys settled on this system, if you had thought about, maybe trying to have a barter system or something and decided against it, or if you were going with this kind of thing from the beginning. I'm curious how it came about, because it's a really nice system.
That's a good question, indeed.
Yes.
Because it was something that we talk a lot about and the
tried.
Designer, and try a lot. We do have bartering in the game. It's a little bit farther in the game.
I haven't unlocked it yet.
Yeah, I won't spoil it that much, but
very
the
cool.
bartering system works between clans, basically.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Why is that? Yeah, because internally we are you are kind of bartering with the other clans, but we end up with the contribution system because it was a little bit annoying and it a little bit breaking the loop of the game, to always have your inventory full of things that you need to remember the value to barter in each transition, basically.
Yeah.
So we discarded that idea to make internal transactions with your current clan, which are the Pachans. Mm-hmm. And so we end up with this kind of contributions, and when you are charged for contributions, it's because the other NPC or the NPC needs to do something for you, and basically he's making his contributions. That's the concept of the contributions.
Yeah.
It is a little bit a currency system. It's not entirely a bartering system, but that's a conceptualization. Again, it's a balance between making it too complicated or and trying to make something that fits the theme, basically. It was challenging, to be honest, because we wanted to have like bartering everywhere, but it didn't work. Like for a game.
Yeah.
I mean,
for this kind of game, right?
For this kind of game, yeah.
Yeah, so we try to keep both things. Like Joni said, it is in the end a sort of currency. And again, with everything, it's more like the concept and what's behind it and what it represents and how it's used as well. Like you were saying, like in the ideas, it means that it means that you're allowing that NPC that space, that time, that effort to be used to develop things he thinks they think they're important, right? But it will be used, like you probably haven't encountered them yet, but like there is a or I don't know if you've been there, but Reese, she's like a artist of the clan.
Yes, that's true.
And you'll exchange things with her using contribution as well. So that's a simplification, so that you have to like every time gather materials, every time gather things. You kind of like trade. You've already gathered those, and they became contributions.
Right.
Like a more like general term for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't want like gold feeling for sure. And it was something actually when we launched the Kickstarter campaign, they were always contribution, but we realized we made a mistake on the symbol that we used, and it was a C, like with like a stick in the middle, so it looked kind of like a cent symbol. And we did not realize that at the time. Like it was a placeholder anyways, but like we show videos and things, and like people started reacting to like, oh, like you have money in the Stone Age, that doesn't make sense. And like it was never the purpose, like even though we used the word contributions, so like we came up with like this hand symbol that represents the contribution. But yeah, I mean the concept's still kind of the same. It's just it's always about like, you know, what like representation, symbolism, and like what it means, not so much how it works. It's a hard one, but we wanted to have bartering, and there is bartering in the game later on, and it involves trading things for things.
Okay.
There are games like that. For example, I played Pine, the game.
Pine.
I
haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
It's kind of indie, but it's pretty good. And every time you like get to a village and you have to trade by bartering, but for that game it works because it's not like you are making transaction with those villages all the time. That's the thing. We need again to balance between making something that works for our game and also fit the genre, the theme.
The theme, Oh, Heather, are we thinking the same thing here?
I don't know. Where are you going? I'm
going to the cave.
I'm thinking that it might be nice to explore the cave. Although this is not the save that I have this is the save where the cave is, I believe, as unlocked as I can make it at this point in the game. So it might be good to switch to a different save file if we want to look at the cave. What do you guys think?
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I will. What am I gonna do? I think if I just go back to main menu, that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
This way our audience will see the main menu and the character creation, which will be good. So
yeah.
Well, I could show character creation in a brand new game, if you want.
Oh, but would we get the cave though?
No,
because we gotta show the cave off.
Okay, so let's start with the owl puzzle one. Well, the one where I've unlocked until the owl puzzle.
Okay.
So let me give you guys. Well, if you're looking at the stream, you know what the code is. But
I'm not.
I'm working on it. Hang on. one of the benefits of having the game still in beta is that
we don't
nobody
have to worry
can
about
accidentally
random
join.
people.
Yeah.
Well, that's not entirely true. There might be a beta player.
There could be a beta player
Oh.
watching. Yes.
Yeah. But the community is good, so we should should allow them to enter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I was about to say I'm a big fan of the multiplayer because you guys were doing like half my farming for me. It was pretty great. So I was like, oh, this is nice. This is significantly easier.
It is. Yeah.
So, so just for viewers, we're going to start talking about what's kind of an element of the spiritual parts of this game. The cave system is very much a part of that, but so is there's a gigantic tree. Although you can't access the tree on a regular basis, it's really more for certain cutscenes or festivals or things. And this is a game where I don't have my own house yet. I'm significantly further back, so my garden is much smaller. But let's go to the cave.
Let's go.
Just because it takes a while to walk there, and that way we
have good
show.
news about that.
Oh, is there going to be fast travel or something? I mean,
not gonna spoil
if you, I do know that if you, I know that if you tame certain animals, you can ride them around.
Mm-hmm.
I have not reached that point in this save yet. I did have another save, but it was before one of the updates that erased all of the previous saves. So, so I had a game that was further along, and I had like a boar that I would ride around on. It was pretty great, but yeah.
I'm only gonna say that it's not mounts, and
Okay.
it's not like
Cool. Cool.
It's better than mounts.
Better than
not better,
mounts.
but faster.
Oh,
Faster
gosh.
than mounts. Okay.
I would say complimentary because
Complimentary, yeah.
That's
Why not?
that's cool.
That's a good one.
That's cool. I have some ideas, but there was some dialogue earlier on in the game with some other people that I'm wondering might hint at that. But I don't know.
All right. No,
So-
I'm interested. What that dialogue is.
Well, okay, so I mean, I don't know if this is possible at all, but one of the characters, one of the other tribes, the Yakuans, was like, "You guys have a waterfall and you don't jump off of it," and I was like, "That would be a really quick way to get back to the village if you jumped off the waterfall." So that would be fun. So this is the caves, just for people who are watching. And the caves are made up of different rooms. So when you first are able to enter the caves, this area is actually blocked off for several days at the start of the game until you have your coming of age ceremony, basically. And then, like a day later, I think it unlocks. Each room you go into, there are different ways of uncovering the next door. So it'll be covered over with rubble, and then, say in this room, you have to harvest the stone or harvest enough stone for it to unlock. But the cave is also basically run by these guys, these little glyptodons that are named Glypto and Don, and it's great. And they are also
Cutest thing ever.
they're amazing, and they're also trying to have their effectively coming of age ceremony. They're trying to become real spirits, basically. And so they help you on your journey in this area. I realized I was like, oh no, I might not have brought the stuff for the owl, but I did bring the stuff for the owl. Actually, I'm gonna fast travel to the owl because that way we can show the fast travel system in the caves, and it happens faster. So the little glyptodons, they also have these little caves in certain parts of the caves. These little caves in certain parts of this area. Caves in caves is kind of weird. But yeah, if you click on them, you can travel to different totems, and the little glyptodon takes you and rolls away with you, and it's pretty great. And that's the fast travel system. And I gotta be honest, I don't care if it's accurate because it's adorable and amazing. So
I mean,
What do you mean?
it's great.
we don't know if it's not accurate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Maybe it happened.
Okay. So with this, you have the Owl Totem, and you make offerings to the owl. Now, this is a good question. Do I remember what goes where? Is a carrot there? Okay, all right. And then wheat is here. There we go. And it's not just these 3 objects. There are glyphs around the cave that tell you what kinds of objects will be good for these offerings. And then it says, are you ready to start the challenge? And this challenge has been in here since the very first release of the alpha, I believe, because I remember playing through it very, very early on.
Early.
Glypto and Don are amazing. Yes, they are. They're adorable. Okay, so with these different totems, you end up getting certain abilities that are connected with these totems. So we can borrow the owl's power to travel across the platforms and complete the challenge. Guide the light by twisting these pillars. And return it to them. And it says before the time runs out, but I've never seen a timer. So I don't know
That was by design.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a timer, but I didn't want to show it.
You didn't want people to panic. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
to panic.
I
But if you're running out of time, it will show.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, it shows for last minute, I think, or 30 seconds.
Right,
something
okay.
like that.
We're reviewing the thing about like having timers on those because there's a penalty there that might not be needed. So yeah. We're reviewing it still.
So basically you use this little platform and you turn into an owl, and it's kind of great. And then you can only transform back into a person at these little platforms. So the goal is to try to get the lights to go through this thing here and light up the stone behind it. Also, apparently in a certain amount of time, but I've never seen the timer, so... And it is a bit of a light puzzle, so it's something where some people find it easier to work backwards, other people find it easier to kind of work forwards. I go until it doesn't work anymore, and then I go the other direction. that's kind of what it, yeah.
Yeah.
Brute force works.
Yeah.
I think that's also my strategy, basically.
There's a point like down. Oh wait, hang on. I forget. Most of my time in this cave is me forgetting that I have to turn back into a human at the specific platform. But yeah, so there's a point where it kind of goes back. I think you have to change this one twice. Or I guess you don't have to. Yeah. There's a thing. There's a reason it sounds simple and it's... Oh wait, hang on. I stopped in the wrong place. It's not as simple as it sounds, but it's also not terribly hard. So like, don't... Oh no, it is that one that I need to change. Okay. Sorry. Hang on. Where does this need to go? I've also never had to do this with other people watching, so...
Yeah. Or following you around.
Yeah.
Not just people following you around the actual game developers.
Yeah, it's one of those things because like you're concentrating on what you're saying, whereas when you're playing, you're just concentrating on what's happening, and so you don't lose track of the light as quickly. But when I'm talking, I'm like, oh right, there's something. Wait a minute, what's happening? Yeah, see this one, it comes back to, and then you have to.
I think.
Oh no, wait. Yeah. Wait. This one. What? Wait. Have I done it wrong? Now I don't remember. Yeah, we did that one. Okay, hang on. Wait a minute. This one comes down to this. But it's not doing it. That's not correct, though. Oh gosh, why am I the one having to solve this? Anna, help.
I'm trying to figure it out myself.
I know there's something with the one with 3, I'm pretty sure.
The timer showed up.
No, I've never had the timer show up.
Yeah, you're right. Stay here.
I am right? Okay.
Yeah, stay here.
Alright, okay.
So, put it up. There you go.
Ah, that's it.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that there's one with the 3 where you have to move it, but yeah. But it's cool
one,
because when it goes through the light, it creates an owl on the rock that you didn't necessarily see there before, which is really cool. I'm glad the owl still thinks I've done well. I think that's the longest it's ever taken me to solve that puzzle, and I've done it like 4 times. It's fine. It's through your observations of the world that my light was returned. Go forth and help others see their own light. So basically, now that means that within this cave, you can, at any of these platforms, turn into an owl and go wherever you want while you're an owl. I mean, it's a cave, so you're limited in exactly where you can go, but it's very helpful for progressing further on in the cave. And I think I know that they kind of highlight this one, but I can't remember if this is this... Yes, there is a thing. There is also an area that, hello, buddy. Can't believe we finally met Owl. You've earned this. This is when you get the map for the caves. And the cave map is not as detailed as the map of the overworld. It's basically just showing you where the rooms are and what rooms are called, basically. So it doesn't show you where islands are or anything like that. But it is very helpful for navigating the caves. So the part of the reason that I wanted to show the spirituality system is in part because Glypto and Don are amazing, and also because I enjoyed the light puzzle, but especially because there is a lot of talk of Pacha and a lot of emphasis on the caves, and we were curious where the inspiration for that came from. We're aware of some potential connections to South American belief systems, but we were mostly just curious how you guys kind of settled on this idea and yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think we touched a little bit of how we started the game. So initially, there was a little bit more South American influence, but we learned again that we wanted to create our own world and not base it in any particular culture. So, we kept the name Roots of Pacha. Pacha also means world, universe. So we interpreted more as Roots of the World, and we also liked a lot the harvest goddess from all the harvest moons as well. So like it's also our way of like representing that in our game, right? But it felt more fitting to be like more, well, it's still a harvest goddess, but it's more like the goddess of the world, and it doesn't really have a full shape, or it's not an individual like it is in Harvest Moon, but represents the whole world. Like, so like the totems in our vision would be representations of Pacha and manifestations of hers. Like everything is actually a Pacha, a part of Pacha. We are part of Pacha too. So that's our approach to the spiritual world, and also borrowing a little bit more from Clan of the Caver, and this is also something spread throughout lots of like cultures and religions, to totemic animals, and the fact that they have attributes like strength, or the owl is wise and teaches you like things. So like all the animal kingdoms has always been super important, and we assign in animals like human attributes and relating to them in that way. It's something that we wanted to represent as well. So we definitely not anymore South American inspired in that way. More of like creating our own.
But that said, like why we are focusing on caves and the spirituality, because if you review some of the, or a bunch of cultures, they all have spirituality, some like in some degree important. Why? Because they had another connection with nature. We like right now we have lost respect for animals, for example, but they like fear the animal, but also respect it. So it was like that. We want to focus on the spirituality because it was important for all of those civilizations.
It's another human aspect too, like
Yeah.
that we all share as humans. Like throughout all the civilizations in the world and all the cultures, like there is always a spiritual element, and it's either trying to explain things that didn't have explanations at the time, or really feeling needed for a greater being, how we came to this world, or really feeling that connection, right?
I kind of like to close my eyes and think myself of a prehistoric person and looking at the sun or the sky, and and not knowing that those are stars, lifeless stars, because we don't have that knowledge now. I would feel like those were like goddess or gods, because it's powerful. It's giving me warmth. It's lighting the whole world. It comes and it goes. I don't know. I love that part of the humanity too. Like it was like interpreting the world with new eyes, basically, and trying to explain things that were not explained by that time. So you encounter a tiger, which is, by that time, something that basically is not you, and it can kill you too. So you have to create some kind of relationship with that entity, which is not as, like, right now it's difficult to think about it, because we know a tiger is a tiger. It's an animal. It is what it is. I really like to do that exercise when I'm developing the Roots of Pacha, like closing my eyes and thinking, well, I don't know anything about that thing. What would I interpret, or what do I think about it?
Yeah, I mean, and especially spiritual world, it's super fun too, because it's where we can play with magic too, and and it's a game. Like, however you see it happening in the game, it might be what the players think, like what these humans think is happening really, but it's not really magic, if that's how you approach magic, or you actually believe in magic. So you see this happening really. So it's again a little bit of like leaving it for players' interpretation of like what's really happening here. Are these glyptodons real? No. Are they in these humans' heads or no? Like I like that part too. So it's like it has been really fun, and putting in caves to like centering the spiritual world around caves. To me, I don't know, like working on it, I just sometimes feel like chill down my spine. like I don't know, like very ancestral connection, something very weird happening. I really love it.
And in talking about closing your eyes and picturing what it's like too, like I've worked on a cave site before, actually, I think like about 10,000 year old cave site in Oregon. And a lot of the times when people would go to lunch or whatever, and I was the only one left in the cave and the rest of my team is out having lunch under the trees, I'd sit in that cave and close my eyes and kind of picture, like, why did they come to this cave? Why did people choose to live in this cave? You know, was there a comfort? Did they choose this cave for a reason? Because there's other cave systems in the area. And just like picturing what it would have been like, having that shelter of the cave. And so that's really cool that you guys are also thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that experience must have been great. Yeah, I think there is something when we actually take the time to like start questioning and like start seeing ourselves, right? And I don't know, it's that deep feeling that what we were trying to achieve in a game, right? Like if you want to play it lightly, you can play it lightly, but if you want to play it and let you bring these emotions and these feelings, then I mean that's our end goal. I know we know it's not going to happen for everyone, not everyone's looking for that experience, but that's definitely how we approach development.
Yeah, and it's something that can inspire people to put themselves in those shoes too, right? You don't have to be at an archaeological site to think about things like this. You can be, out on a hike or anything like that, or looking up at the stars at night, like you said, and think about this kind of stuff. And I think this game is bringing that curiosity into the community around it.
Yeah, I love to think, now that you mentioned the stars, I love to think about that those same stars were looked by people.
Yeah.
Like, so long ago. And those are the same, well, they're not the same stars. Of course, they changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is the same sky. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they haven't changed much. Like, humans haven't been here for that long either. It's like, and that's also like, to me, that's also impressive. It's like, also, we built so much, and we think that we've done so much, but we're actually we've lived so in such a short amount of time. Like, I'm not saying we're nothing, right? But like, because we are something, we're part of this, but we're part of this. We're not the only thing, and that's also something that we keep in mind always. Like, and also the things that I want people to wonder, right? Like, it's like, we are building this. We're not. I don't like to use the word of evolution, but like, we are making progress in this clan and like discovering rocks and eventually metals and
more like growing together.
But also like question you. It's like, okay, perfect, great. It's like, am I doing that? Like, where have that taken us? Like, where are we now? Was that good? Was that bad? And we're not making any judgment in the game. We passed out.
We were close. We made an attempt
in the game, guys.
It's fine.
But like, open up those questions for you to answer again if you want them. Like, they're there in the game. They're not like thrown into your face. It's like, it's not like that. No. You need to answer them, and that's the purpose of the game. It's still, again, a game if you want to just play it as a game. But yeah, definitely that's the direction that we take and how we think when we're actually implementing stuff,
designing.
I really like hearing that. It's not something that I've necessarily thought of, but hearing it makes perfect sense. But the idea that the game you're designing is the question you're trying to, or the design is based around the question of, what do you want people to ask, or what do you want people to be curious about? And that's just a really, I don't know, it's a different way of designing a game than I've necessarily thought of before, but it really works with Roots of Pacha. And you've said it a few times of like, well, we've designed this way, but it doesn't necessarily matter if we have all of the information within our game. It's a game, but if it pushes people to be curious about this thing and then go, Google it or something, then that's a really good thing. So I think that's really cool. I do have
that's
one.
A goal.
Yeah, I do have one more save. But you're currently making my garden very pretty, so I don't know if I should stop you.
Don't stop. Finish on first. Amazing.
Do you have a flint axe in this one?
Not in this one, no. I haven't.
Okay.
I hadn't gotten there yet. This one because we wanted to have several saves in different points to be able to show the audience some of the important moments in this game. The two saves that are those moments, I kind of sped run until I got to those moments, so there's a lot less of the other stuff that's been developed in these save files. But what do you guys think? Should we shift over to the other save file? I know you just made me a whole garden and planted everything. I feel really bad undoing all of your work, but all right, let's switch over.
And I'm absolutely happy that we didn't find a bug.
Yeah, we haven't found any bugs so far, which is, at least to my knowledge. So if you have found bugs, I don't know about them.
I found a design flaw, but not a bug.
All right, a design flaw.
And it, Timo, so you can remember it, it has to do with the flute.
Okay.
We're not gonna spoil it.
Okay.
We're a part of the process now.
Yeah. We're an
Amazing.
unknowing part of the process. Okay, let me get
Anytime
this
I use the
code in.
flute after the game comes out for real, I'll remember this.
It's like there was
You should.
something. What was it? What was it?
I should also say, people in chat, you're more than welcome to ask questions as well.
Yeah, now's a good time for that. Yeah.
We're kind of puttering around, but don't feel like that means you can't be asking questions. There's no pressure to ask questions, but don't feel like you can't. As we wait for people to build their characters for a third time.
I'm just randomizing, and I will hit it. I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm hit it 5
then
times,
just keep
and I'm
going.
gonna say
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well,
Yeah.
that come out pretty good.
I did have to make my character slightly different for each of these games because I was like, I know that technically it's going to be different days, but if I have different outfits, it'll be easier for me to figure out which is which.
Yeah. Should we end with a fishing competition, Timo?
Oh man.
Oh, shoot.
I mean, we can.
It's always about the competition.
We can do a fishing competition. It's going to be rough. The audience has already seen how bad my fishing skills are when people are watching. Also, I'm impatient. I try to get it when it's only like when it's on the last
Sure.
one
Yeah.
filling up because I know you can get it sometimes, but
Yeah.
but then sometimes you can't, and I lucked out.
Yeah.
I didn't succeed when I was trying that earlier.
I have to say though, the fishing mechanic is really fun. Like Heather and I have talked about it like
It's
a couple
good.
times
It's really
we
good.
play so many farming sims, right? And this is a really fun one.
Yeah.
And it's easy for
Yeah.
people too.
Yeah, I'm glad that you like it. We had to
Yeah.
fine tune some things, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
whenever I'm playing Stardew, because I've restarted that game so many times, I
Yeah.
always save fishing for later. That's like the last pack that I work on for the community center. That's like something that like I put on my calendar. Like, all right, today's the
I
day.
guess I have
I'm
to
going
do
to-
this.
I'm gonna be doing only fishing in Stardew Valley until this is done. It's something I don't want to do, and I save it for the end. And with this, it's like I want to start fishing right away. It's really fun. It's
Yeah.
easy. Yeah.
It
I'm
was
really
significantly
happy.
harder in the alpha. I remember the alpha fishing being like,
Yeah.
oh, this
I
is
blocked that.
harder than I thought it would be.
Yes.
Not in a bad way, but yeah, I remember the alpha being like, oh goodness, okay.
Yeah, it's different. So always when things are different, it's kind of like you always get like a reaction like, I don't know if I like this, but hopefully, yeah, people will learn to love it because
Yeah.
we put a lot of effort in it.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think we're this way. For the
It
thing
also
I'm
just
trying
looks
to
really
show.
cool.
And this one I do have a flint. I don't have a flint axe, but I have a flint hammer.
Great.
Carry the team.
I'm lost.
All right.
Now we're in the very dark room.
Okay, we'll wait for you. So if you're in the very dark room and you go to the map to the right, there you are.
Alright.
You got it.
Oh,
You got it.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
We really wanted to show everybody this because Anna and I were playing together. Well, I was playing and Anna was kind of watching and writing down questions and things when we were preparing for this. And we
Yeah.
stumbled upon this, and it's
We just stopped talking.
yeah, it's really good. So we want to share it with all of you. So yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. It's just so good. And then if you walk up to it, you can paint.
Oh my god, we can all do it. Oh,
We can all do
We
it.
can all do it.
oh, this is so cool. Every
And they're
time.
all different colors too. So like mine was green and yeah,
Mine,
somebody's
violet, purple.
purple and blue and yellow. So this
Oh
was
my
something
God.
where we just kind of fell into it and discovered the painting, and then I wandered up to it and was like, oh, it says paint. Do I get to wait a minute? And then we kind of lost it, and realized that we had in my save where I'm significantly further along, I was like, oh, but we just played through this and we didn't record it, and we need to show this because it's amazing. So I made it my mission to make sure we had a save file that had this unlocked. It's just such a moment in the game, because the caves, at this point, you've gone through, 7 or 8 or more different rooms. There are ones that are, the very dark rooms that we were in a few minutes ago, and then there's, the owl stuff, and there are various sort of tests or trials that you've completed. But just being able to come in here and see the handprints in context, not necessarily in the context that, we don't necessarily know that this was the context specifically, but just in a context that is appropriate for them in a game. It's just a really beautiful spiritual moment, and I don't think I've ever encountered it in any other farming sim game in quite this way. So it's this is us just being like, this game is amazing because it is, and this moment is amazing.
We gotta take a group picture here. Absolutely.
That's true.
This place was like designed to be to be one of those places that make you think about the past, basically. And the connection we have with the past. We are printing our hands, and probably not in this game, someone will see them in the future. That's what this means, and that was designed to be like this, and I'm glad that you like it.
Thank you. It was really nice hearing your words, because you really captured the essence of what we were trying to achieve with this.
Well, I mean, I think you guys really captured the essence of exactly what you said the goal was. I was like, that's exactly how it feels. It's the same feeling like so every archaeologist gets the question of what's the coolest thing you've ever dug up or something, or what's the most interesting thing you've ever dug up. And for me, one of the most profound things that I have taken out of the ground is a hearthstone from an Iron Age roundhouse here in Scotland that was worn down by knees and feet and hands, and just sort of pulling that out of the hearth. And it's one of those kind of moments where you're putting your hands where people have put their hands, but like 1500 years ago, and it's that kind of moment. And I feel this scene captures that same sensation, but it does it in a video game, and that's absurd in all the best ways. It's
and
that
it's
same
an
feeling.
Find.
So I love this little moment, and I feel like everybody needs to find this moment, because it's not necessarily like you don't need to go to this area to progress in the game. It's entirely possible to completely miss it. And I think anybody who is exploring the caves will go this direction eventually, but it's in a way it's kind of nice that it's not, a required step in the main path. So it's different people are going to arrive at this story element at different points in their playthroughs, and different points in their journeys, and it's just really well done and really, really cool. And I love that the player hands are different colors to the background hands, so they don't just they're part of the group, but at the same time you can still see where people's hands are, and it gives the impression that if it could be rendered in a video game, each of these other hands, Vuok's got one in here, for example, or, Inza's got one. So there's the sense that other people in the community also have handprints here, which is really, really cool. So, it's just...
Or across time.
Exactly.
Thinking about that,
It is one thing
cool.
where, like, I wish I could, like, if the rest of the community doesn't necessarily know about this, I wish as a player that you could at least, like, if you became good enough friends with Vuok, if you could be like, hey, I need to show you something just in case you haven't been here yet, and, like, kind of bring him to this spot, because I feel like
he would like it.
I feel like he would like it. It's like of anybody in the community, he needs to know that this is here, and if he doesn't, it would be cool to have the player be able to facilitate that for him, especially because he's and this is something we couldn't necessarily show, but he is like the spiritual leader, I guess, of the clan. So he's the person that facilitates the coming of age ceremony. He's the person that gives you your totem, which is the big Pacha tree, actually. So other people have animal totems, but you have a tree, and there's a connection to tradition that he explains. And then there are a number of there are connections between you and Vuok that are kind of special, and it would be nice to be able to like show him something that he doesn't necessarily know is there, but is profoundly spiritual. Anyway, that's me putting my own desires out there for video games.
Did you remember what Timo says? That sometimes people say things that we are actually implementing?
Yes.
Well, it's not necessarily,
but potentially, yeah.
But there is a connection.
There's a connection
From what you said.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, there's
awesome.
I'm so happy.
And I'm not gonna spoil it.
Oh no! Don't feel like you have to. I'm excited to see what it does. In the game. Yeah, it's so good. It's such a good game.
I also just love thinking about, like, you know, since this is something that isn't tied to a storyline, at least like right now, just like how many other players stumbled across this and just paused silently looking at this, because seeing cave art is such an an awe-inspiring moment, and thinking about that, and if you haven't seen cave art like this before and images like this before, I'm sure it surprises people, and people are shocked and stare at this in the same way they do when they see cave art for the first time. And so I'm just like, you know, there's so many things in games where you're surprised by so many new things, so many new areas that you just blaze through them, like I kind of did the Sahara area, right? But this, it's like this causes people a pause, I feel like. And I just like that's such a cool thing to know as game developers, is you put something in the game that will cause people to just stop and stare for a little while, and have that moment like how they're described. That's just really, really cool.
And we couldn't be happier to hear that, because it was designed basically to make people stop and think. Like, that's the whole mission.
I think that's like, I don't know what you were saying, like if you haven't seen cave art like these, to a point, I think that pixel art in general, some people they haven't asked us why we haven't made this 3D, but when we were choosing what we were going to do, one thing I like about pixel art is that it leaves room for the imagination too, right? You know, you're not seeing every detail, you're not seeing everything, and I feel the same thing with cave art. It's like you see a couple of pictures and then you have to imagine what they were trying to depict there, right? It kind of like matches the style.
I think so.
Same feeling.
And it's also impressive, and again, I know I kind of went and lit the central torch and then looked at the things, but there is going to be a recording of this for anybody who's interested, or if you have a copy of the game, you can go find this place yourself. But I think there's also just the way that the light fills the room. You know, there's so many well orchestrated parts to this room and this scene that it's, as somebody who dabbles in theater and such, you know, it is very artistic the way that it's executed, and even just, you know, lighting, even if you walk up here and see the hands, but then you go and you light this, the way that the light fills the room is wonderful. So
I can see your intentions. You're trying to make us cry.
It's just so good.
I'll achieve it, and I don't want to cry in streaming.
I mean, I'll try not to make you cry, but it's so good though, and like the care and attention to this scene is obvious. And I think when
it's definitely a team effort. So,
I think when we first mentioned it to you guys, you said that this was actually part of the very earliest planning phases. This was already an idea that you wanted to do. So it's I feel like you knocked it out of the park It's so good.
Definitely.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Anna, I think one of the things that you mentioned when we first found this area, and I know we're about to pass out, but it's fine. We did that already. So, there's, as far as I can tell, there's no real consequence for passing out, except maybe a stamina loss.
Yes,
it's ego and pride.
It's not that kind of game. Well, and ego and pride, but it's fine. One of the things that Anna mentioned when we found this the first time is that it makes the cave art so much more relatable. The fact that you yourself contribute to it. Yeah. Because not only does it kind of demonstrate how these are made, it puts you in there as well. And then the fact that, there's the ancestors, there's a little thing that comes up at the top that says the ancestors are helping you. I forget the exact wording, but it's basically the ancestors give you 500 contribution points, which is a lot at this stage in the game. It's not, a ridiculous amount, but it's more than you're probably making on average per day, unless you're running around all over the place, or you have multiplayer friends who do your gardening for you.
Hey.
But it's a significant contribution, and given what you guys were saying about the contribution being, things that have already been contributed that are, kind of in this, the contribution is the easier way to kind of catch all of that together. It connects very much to that point of, your ancestors have already set things in place for you to be able to further your ideas or your farm or whatever it is that you want to use that for. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and I don't remember if this might have been what I mentioned to you before, or a thought I had, or something, but when it comes to imagining what went on in the past, especially with prehistory, a cutscene. When it comes to imagining that kind of thing, it can be so hard because, we're not there. That happened so long ago. Things are so different now. So it's difficult to see what's going on or to understand, to perceive as archaeologists or as archaeology students exactly what's happening. And so when I show my students before, when I was teaching cave art, and the hands, that's cave art that exists in the real world. Students wonder, who's got the time to put so many hands? Why would they just keep putting their own hand on the wall? And in this way, I'm trying to get through this cutscene and talk at the same time, but in this way, you're it's not like you're having the players have an NPC to teach you as the player, see all those hands? Why don't you add to it? Everybody placed one hand on the wall, so add yours. You made it so that the player came to that realization themselves that wow, that looks amazing. I want to click on it. I want to interact with it. What's going on here? I'm going to add my own to this. And then players come to the same conclusion themselves that multiple people are adding to this art across time, and it's not like what my students thought, which is one person just very, very bored putting their hand
over and over again.
So it's just really cool in that way.
Maybe someone put 5 or 6.
I feel like there are hands in some of these, at least, that are definitely children's hands, so that at least one child just put 6 hands.
Did it multiple times.
No, 3-year-old, come back here. Yeah.
Or you see, you go as a group, like a group of people going, and you see everybody adding one, and it's you know what? I'm gonna add 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm more important. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why not?
So it's just cool that you're having the players come to their own conclusions, and then also work with people in the community to come to conclusions or ideas, together as a community, or to rely on somebody to give you an idea to help improve the village, and things like that. And it's not all about the player having to learn all these recipes or buy them from Robin in Stardew Valley or anything like that. You're working with a community to help progress things and grow together and improve upon things in the village. And it's like you said with multiplayer, there's not like a main character or anything. Everybody's contributing, but there's also not a main character when you're playing solo. Everybody is contributing. And it makes the village feel alive and bustling and just so very, very cool. And people can start to understand that not all the time when you're thinking about prehistory is it these like solitary situations, but when you have a community, you're all contributing to that community together. You're all taking care of one another, just like they do in Roots of Pacha. So,
yeah.
If you are saying that after playing Root of Pacha, and I know that it's something that you knew before, but if you are a player that came to that conclusion after playing Root of Pacha, it would make me the most happy person in the world, basically, because that's something. We love heroes. We love to think about individuals, and we forgot about whom the other people around those heroes. Like we always remember the day of that person who made that achievement, that big achievement, but who is that person without his community? Why he is who he was? Like, and that thought is Roots of Pacha, basically. That thought of we are a community made of individuals, but we are a community, and we are who we are because we had a community. So again, thank you.
Of course, yeah. And I definitely think there are people out there who are coming to that, learning about that from this game. And like I said before, if your Discord community is any indicator of that, like you've fostered an amazing community that looks so similar to this game. And I don't see that very often with Discord communities. So like, especially those, for a game, mostly I see people being like, why don't you fix this bug? But like, but well,
it also happens, but
you guys
we have channels for that.
Exactly. But like, you guys take the time to put in other channels too, and it's like, it's not just like fan art of our game. It's like, share your art with the community, share your knowledge with the community, share your cooking with the community. That is just so very cool, and it just feels like you guys are inspired by your own game that you've created. And this community is inspired by this game that we're all playing, and it's so amazing to see. I can't tell you how much I love this game.
Thank you again.
Well, in the last couple minutes we have here, we do have a question in the audience, and if anybody else has any more questions for us, feel free to drop it in. But we do the one question we have so far is oh wait, is that a question? I thought I saw a question. Heather,
because I was talking with Jin, and he was like, "You're doing great, but I think you could do better." Like, oh, thanks. But it was right in the middle of Anna making a very articulate point, and I was like, I don't want to interrupt, so I just put it in chat of like, thanks, bud. Thanks for the compliment. Like you could do better.
Well,
we do want to ask. You guys are currently in beta. Well, the game is currently in beta, and I know people are probably wondering when it might be fully released, or what the next stage of the process is. If you're not able to say, don't worry about it, but I know some people might be wondering, especially people who maybe didn't know about this game and are wondering when they might be able to get their hands on it.
No, that's a perfect valid question. And yes, we are in beta. Well, we launched beta back in April. We had a demo in June. And the next step for us will be release 1.0. So we're trying, we want to release directly in 1.0, not in early access. And to do that, we've come up with the features that we want for 1.0 that are a must. And those are the ones that we're working on, followed by a series of updates that will add more content and maybe a few mechanics, but that are not core to the game experience that we want. So having said that, we are targeting a date around the end of the year, but we haven't yet defined a hard date. We will soon make an announcement
about it.
Probably next month about it. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. We always like to be fully transparent with our development process. So that's exactly where we are. You see, the game is working, but there are still lots of things that we want to add. Lots mainly of content. So we're working on NPC cutscenes. We're like what we saw of the caves. It's about 1/4, I want to say, of the caves. So we're expanding the caves. Like making sure that the whole game, the game as a whole, is working. It's not just fragmented pieces here and there, which at points like beta can feel like it's like that because not everything is tied together yet. So yeah, that's where we're at. So soon, like the best way to like find out when we're gonna announce that release, it's joining our Discord or following us in any social network, Twitter, or Steam. That's mainly when we post our devlogs every month. So
very frequently. I'll drop the links for that in chat too.
Cool. Yeah. Well, cool. I think that's all of the questions that I had. And now that you've helped me farm all of my crops in all of my games, I feel very, very well prepared now. Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to add, or even any questions that you had, or anything like that?
I
mean, no pressure if you don't.
I feel like it was great. Like honestly, it's developing a game. It really takes a toll on you. To be honest, it's like you sometimes you don't know what you're doing. Especially it's our first game. Like we have this amazing community, and it's big now. Like we know it's big and everything, but sometimes we are like, I'm not going to say lost, but like we doubt if what we're doing it's meaningful. It's like if it's impacting people's like really talking to you and like hearing what you have to say and how you experience the game. It just adds so much to our development experience. It's really great. So like really happy to have been here with you today and to have been invited and to be able to play with you and hear what you have to say about what we're doing.
That was your guys' idea. We were just gonna have Heather.
I was gonna say, oh, it was great. It was a way better idea. So I'm all for it. All of my crops are planted. This is excellent.
I'm totally treasuring this experience. So I can't thank you guys enough for coming on to play with us. So and the response in chat. Oh God. Well, there's one question. This is their first game. I know, right? But all of the response in comments are just how cute and just amazingly cool and beautiful this game is. So, and that's how we feel about it.
That's it.
Thank you. And that's if I have add something to add, it's that it's a teamwork. Like it started just Joni, myself, and then our main artist dancer, but like it's become so much more and such a rewarding experience. The same as growing the community and seeing how the community came up, like growing the team and watching everyone work together, like and that synergy. And it's a balancing act. Like artists wants the best look for the game. Sometimes are not achievable in time, but like their ideas, like contributing of like, oh, like they have a great idea. Let's implement it, even if it's gonna take a little bit more of time. Let's maybe take it out from something else. But like every addition, like the the other artists as well, like
Yeah.
Karen, who helps us with all the stories and also tying everything together, the music and sound effects guys.
Yeah, I remember when I made a video that was like way back in the alpha of a large number of things that this game gets right about the Stone Age, and I remember Dancer was one of the first people to comment on it, who's one of the artists, the main artist for this game, and so that was really cool to be able to talk about it. And in thinking about that video, I realized that there's so much that we haven't told you guys in chat about this game. I will show one thing that we haven't told you about, but like there's so many things for you to discover. And one of the things is that there are wild versions of the crops and there are domesticated versions of the crops. So at the beginning you only find wild versions, but then as you plant them, the plants in your garden have a chance to create these domesticated versions of the crops. And I haven't reached a point yet where it's like 100% domesticated stuff yet. I'm guessing that probably happens at some point that's further along than spring of your first year, but it's such a beautiful mechanic for this time period because there are things that are just wild and things that are being domesticated, and the same with the animals as well, that you have to domesticate the animals in order for them to live in your barn. You don't go to a, like Marnie's Ranch or something in Stardew Valley and purchase animals. You literally go out into the wild and you're like, hey, little baby mammoth, do you want to maybe come home with me? That'd be great. And I did
to be friends.
So there's so much to this game that's even more than we've already described and already talked about, and there's so many little Easter eggs and nuances, and like the tools system is so good, and there's a lot here. So I highly recommend, once you're able to, picking up a copy and playing yourself, because it's
definitely
you deserve it. Treat yourself. Whenever this game comes out, treat yourself, because it's so good. It's such a good game.
Don't walk, run.
Yeah, exactly.
And I guess like I've got one more question that I'd love to ask just before I don't have a chance to anymore. But what was the initial reception to announcing that you were going to do a Stone Age farming simulator game, right? Because like when I found out about it, being a prehistoric archaeologist myself, I'm just like, oh my god, give it to me. But then what about the general people on Twitter and Kickstarter? Did people like the different setting of a Stone Age prehistoric farming sim? Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah, I think that
in general, yes. Yeah.
In general, it was pretty strong. It is a pretty strong selling point for the game.
It's so unique. It's so unique right now.
Yeah. And it's
it's
so well done.
It's blown our expectations every time that we've shown it. Like even we had a concept mock-up idea a few years ago. Before we even started development, and that was like the reception of that, like now in perspective compared to like Kickstarter or other things, it was small, but at the time it felt so big that like we said like, I think we're onto something here, and that people are relating to this feeling that we've been talking throughout these
about for years.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, gosh, I
We're
really
huge
do. I
fans.
can't thank you guys enough.
Yeah,
We're very huge. Yeah.
we love this game, and I will probably be looking forward to any other games you feel like developing in the future. No pressure at all, because this game is so good and it will occupy me for so long. But yeah, we think you guys are doing fantastic work, and it's been such a pleasure to be able to highlight this game in this conference. And and we've passed out again, but it's fine. It's all fine, you guys. It's fine. But yeah, it's been such a pleasure
to sing its praises.
Having you guys here and being a part of the community that you've created for this game. And yeah, I think we might end there, just so that the next talk has enough time to kind of get set up and things.
Yeah, this is a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
thank you guys so very much, and to everyone who checked out this game, because I want more people to know about it.
Yeah,
so this was such a cool opportunity for all of us.
It deserves all the attention it can get. Yeah. It's such a good game.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. And I believe
enjoy the rest of the con, everyone.
Absolutely. The next talk should be starting in about 10 minutes, so, grab a snack or something to drink or something, but don't go anywhere, because the next talk is starting soon. All right.